Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And I probably, like many of you out there, I really enjoyed the Pirates of the Caribbean movies out there. I love the trilogy. It's one of them situations where if you ever end up getting me watching the first one, I'm most likely going to sit there and end up watching the second one and the third one. I know some people have complaints about the second one and the third one and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, I absolutely love those movies and I have a really good time with them. Obviously, some of the stuff that came afterward was very much hit or miss, but at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where it was a franchise that a lot of people had a great time with, and obviously Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and everybody else that was involved in this movie had an incredible time and did an absolute great job. I mean, the actor that played Barbossa, what more could you possibly have asked for an actor like that? It was just a great time overall. Obviously, a lot of people are very well aware of the kind of public backlash and a lot of the kind of crazy stuff that happened with Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard situation and all of that kind of stuff with the Disney fallout and honestly the overall general Hollywood fallout, which obviously turned out to be very much not deserved at all after Johnny Depp ended up winning his case. Well, obviously, Jerry Bruckheimer has been very open lately about wanting to revitalize the franchise out there and do another installment inside the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Disney, obviously, we know their financial situation that's currently going on. They are desperate for any kind of box office win that they possibly can. And since they're not very good at coming up with new ideas at this point, they definitely have been revisiting and revitalizing all of their past franchises to better or less success, depending on what's going on with that. Well, obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean would not be Pirates of the Caribbean without Johnny Depp. And if Disney decides to go full steam ahead with some of the insane ideas that we've heard going on in the rumor mill, as far as like an all-female cast or some kind of female-led Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, well, we know how that worked out for Marvel, so imagine how it's going to end up working out for Pirates of the Caribbean. Star Wars, anyone after all? But needless to say, boys and girls, this speculation has been going on. We know that Disney is currently actively in development of trying to get a Pirates of the Caribbean project off the ground. Well, recently, one of the main actors out there, Orlando Bloom, was asked about reprising his own role and what it would take to get him back in the seats and what his perfect dream idea of everybody coming back for that whole situation. And of course, it's one of them situations where just like majority of the fans out there completely and totally agree, Orlando Bloom realizes you have to have Johnny Depp as well. So at the end of the day, we'll find out whether or not Disney's willing to fork over those alpacas, because if not, we know it's going to be another giant, massive, disastrous dumpster fire at the box office for the House of Mouse, who has found itself in nothing but that practically over the last 10 years. As you can see over here from Variety.com, Orlando Bloom on the next Pirates of the Caribbean. Do you bring in a female lead that replicates Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow? I don't know. Even Orlando Bloom himself realizes the fact that that would be a major problem and simply would not work. And obviously that was one of the major rumors that had been floated a couple of years back by not only all of our favorite sources, but also the Hollywood Reporter and a lot of other mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream trade magazines out there as well. Everybody, the rumor was they would love to bring back Johnny Depp. The other option is an all-female led Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Yeah, which of course made complete and total sense at the time for Disney, but I think a lot of people, at least the bean counters, have seen the error of their ways and how that stuff is not going to work. Although at the end of the day, you can say the exact same thing about Fantastic Four. But needless to say, Orlando Bloom knows what is the part of the magic that makes Pirates of the Caribbean work, and clearly a female version of Johnny Depp would not be one that works. So we're taking this article from Variety.com, getting all the juicy details of exactly what he said and how he wants Johnny back as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100. We're still on our way towards 22. I think we're sitting at like 2,160, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. What do you think about this? Do you think Disney will ever be able to convince Johnny Depp to be able to come back after all the backlash has happened? Do you think they've got a bunch of alpacas that they're currently trying to breed to make this happen? Do you think Orlando Bloom is right and that Johnny Depp has to be part of the situation and that a female version would not work? How bad do you think it would end up being at the box office, or do you think it would actually succeed if they tried to do a female version of the Pirates of the Caribbean, replacing Johnny Depp's character with a female actress? Let us know what in the comment section down below. If you like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from Variety.com and Zach Sheriff. Orlando Bloom is all in favor of getting the original Pirates of the Caribbean cast together for a sixth movie that's been long in development. And honestly, I don't see how else you could make that work. And the fans 100% agree with Orlando Bloom. Appearing at Fan Expo Chicago, Bloom rallied for the returns of Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow. Keira Knightley's Elizabeth Swann and his own Will Turner. Well, of course, he's going to advocate for him. And honestly, getting that trio back together would very much be a very successful franchise. I mean, it's like one of them situations where it's like in Spider-Man No Way Home, you brought Tobey and Andrew Garfield in. Yeah, of course that thing was going to make $1 billion at the box office. I mean, it's Spider-Man, plus you bring back the GOAT. And honestly, another fan favorite that got way too much flack because his movies weren't good, and it's not his fault. But seriously, that's the kind of trio you need in order to get this back. And honestly, I don't think Keira Knightley's really doing a whole lot either. I mean, both of them, with their deals behind the scenes and everything else, I'm not sure if Keira Knightley or Orlando Bloom ever have to really work again. And we know Johnny Depp definitely doesn't have to. It's one of them situations where, like, yeah, of course, this is who you want to bring them back. And you give them a good script, and they're going to come back. Because at the end of the day, Disney has to decide. Do they want to make just another Pirates of the Caribbean movie and hope for the best? Or are they willing to fork over the cash and actually get the original band back together? Because if you don't, well, yeah, we kind of saw what happened with Snow Brown, didn't we? And Ghostbusters, after all, 2016, everything is in the writing, right? Everything is on the page. And I think there's definitely, I'm sure there's a way to create something. I mean, it's Jerry Bruckheimer. I think he can come up with a couple of ideas. How many CSI spinoffs did we get? And a majority of them I really enjoyed. I would personally love to see everybody back. I think the way to win on that is to get everybody back if they can, and if everybody wanted to go back. And there's always one of the sticking crows, right? And we know that Johnny Depp loves his character of Jack Sparrow, right? We know the guy travels a lot of the time with the costume. So if he's in an area and he can set up a visit to a children's hospital, he shows up in character and brings praise to the children and does all kinds of fun stuff out there. We know this guy loves the character. Johnny Depp has a lot of characters that he definitely knows and loved, but it seemed like Jack Sparrow was definitely one of those ones that was something special and near and dear to his heart. And obviously it was very much near and dear to the fans out there. And it's something that everybody loves. And it's simply, you're not going to be able to replace Johnny Depp in any way, shape, or form of that. So this is something that you could potentially, I don't know, even if you just do an apology behind the scenes and go, hey, look, Johnny, we get it. We were wrong. We jumped the gun. There was a lot of pressure from the media. There was a lot of pressure from the cancel mob out there. We're sorry. Is there anybody inside of Disney's executive chain that would actually have the cojones or by all means, even just the actual humbleness to be able to do that? I have no idea. Is Disney probably willing to spend the money on 1,000,000 alpacas or 1,000 alpacas? Probably. Because if not, and they try to push forward this movie, it's going to fail miserably. All three original characters debuted in 2003 as The Curse of the Black Pearl and headlined a trilogy that included 2006's Dead Man's Chest and 2007's At World's End. Only Depp's Jack Sparrow continued with 2011's Stranger Tides and 2017's Dead Men Tell No Tales, both of which weren't even close to the financial successes or critical success, and especially fan-wise and audience concerns, as the originals out there. But thus, that's the way it happens. Bloom and Knightley popped in the credits scene of the latter, i.e. trying to lead into them coming back. The Pirates movies has collectively grossed $4.5 billion worldwide. That's insane. And also the reason why Disney may indeed pull out all the stops to make this movie happen. Because they need any win they can get. I mean, we saw what they did with Lilo and Stitch, how that live action worked out for them, how Lilo and Stitch 2 worked out for them. This is in their wheelhouse of things to do. Bloom goes on to say, my thing is, if the script is great and ideally it was everybody, it'd be like in for a penny, in for a pound, you know? What they're thinking is how to do it. Do you bring in a female leading character that replicates Jack in some way? I don't know. The jury is out on how to do it again. But if the script was great, I'd be in. And like I said, once again, Orlando Bloom doesn't need the money, right? Between Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean, the guy's not exactly hurting for things, even after splitting up with Katy Perry. If anything, she might be hurting a little bit without having some of that Orlando Bloom around her anymore. But at the end of the day, it's one of them situations where, yes, this is what we've all wanted. This is all what makes sense. And if you allow Jerry Bruckheimer and whoever he decides to hire and run this situation and write all of this stuff and just let him do his thing, then you're going to have another win on your hands, especially considering how long it's been since we've seen these characters. And even more importantly, how long we've seen all of these characters back together on the big screen. If you can figure out a way to pull that off and make it make sense, Look at the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not saying this trio has that kind of star power per se, but at the end of the day, we know this kind of thing works. So do it and make the story decent, and you'll probably make yourself $1 billion. The real question is, can Disney get out of its own way to do something like that? We'll find out eventually, or this thing will die and we'll never hear anything about it again. It's been a long development road for the sixth Pirates movie. Variety reported in summer 2020 that Disney was in early development on 2 Pirates movies, a female-led reboot starring Margaret Robbie. Yeah, how would that have worked out? And a proper 6th film in the original franchise. Robbie told Vanity Fair in November of 22 that Disney was not interested in her more female-led movie. Although producer Jerry Bruckheimer downloaded the plan later, telling you there was still room for both Pirates movies to exist. And I think Disney agrees they really wanted to make the Margaret one too. Yeah, Robbie was being honest. Disney and Bruckheimer are just trying to save face for all the backlash they probably got from a bunch of feminists as soon as we all found out that the female Pirates movie was canceled. Jeff Nossum, who wrote the script for Dead Men Tells No Tales, is handling screenwriting duties for what would be the 6th Pirates, but the details of the plan remain unclear. Bruckheimer said last summer that he would be open to bringing Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow back, which has been a question mark as Depp remains ousted from Hollywood due to legal troubles, yada, yada, yada. That's soon to change, though, as Depp is heading the Lionsgate action comedy Day Drinker alongside Penelope Cruz. Bruckheimer told Entertainment Weekly earlier this month that he had spoken to Depp about returning as Jack Sparrow, adding, if he likes the way the part's written, I think he would do it. So it sounds like Johnny didn't slam the door on Jerry's face and told him, no way in hell, I'm never doing it again. No, no, no. Johnny is simply at the stage in his life where he can do what he wants and not do anything if he doesn't want to. You know, he doesn't have to take jobs anymore if he doesn't want to. So it sounds like if you can convince him with a good script, you could pull it off. It's all about what's on the page, as we all know. We are still working on a screenplay. We want to make it. We just got to get the right screenplay. We haven't gotten it there yet, but we're close. So it sounds like to me, everybody involved in the production of this realizes you have to have Johnny Depp back, right? He is the star, despite loving Orlando Bloom, despite loving Keira Knightley, despite loving, everybody else in the movie, and being so many classic characters that have so many memorable lines. At the end of the day, Johnny Depp is the face of that franchise. And there was a time period where Disney understood that. Dead Men Tells No Tales, and then they one in 2017 as well, right? They understood that. But it has gotten to a point now, because the culture shifted so crazy and all of the Me Too nonsense and all of the rest of that bandwagon garbage, Spirit of the Age stuff, well, that made it to where you couldn't bring Johnny Depp back. It made him persona non grata, right? Obviously, a lot of that has changed. Obviously, Johnny's been doing things on his own over there in France and Europe and with Saudi Arabia, and the Arab Emirates, and now he's back doing something for Lionsgate. So obviously, Hollywood understands that Johnny Depp is a household name and a success, and that all the BS nonsense from Amber Turd was just that, a big pile of turds. And so, yes, that's what you have to do. And it sounds like Jerry's basically confirming he's down to come back as long as the script is good. So that's the real question, right? Disney, in its current state, in its current franchise, can it allow writers to make good scripts that would entice Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley to come back? Or are they still so stuck in their ways that they cannot see the forest for the trees, that they cannot understand how the tide has changed and how things can go forward? It certainly seems like, from a lot of the rumors and a lot of the indications we've seen from inside of Disney and outside to a certain degree as well, that they do understand that the wham power nonsense doesn't sell. The real question is there enough talent left inside of Disney? Is there enough humbleness left inside of Disney to convince Johnny Depp to come back? Orlando Bloom and clearly all the fans and even Jerry Bruckheimer himself clearly wants him back. At this stage and point, boys and girls, it's in Disney's court. Can you give us a good script, or are you going to give us more disastrous dumpster fires? Because the fans want Johnny and the rest of the trio back. The real question is, Disney, can you actually pull it off? Let Jerry Bruckheimer just do his thing, and you might actually get a success. Stick your fingers in it too much, like Kevin Feige clearly has, and well, it'll just be one more disastrous dumpster fire for me to report on. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather see the fans be made happy. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.